Has Real Madrid just opened an internal wound that could cost them dearly in the Champions League? What happened yesterday at the Santiago Bernabeu could change the course of the season. It wasn't the score, it wasn't the dominance on the field, but the bench that sparked shock, debate, and division. And who would have thought? Vinicius Jr., the man of those magical Champions League nights, started the match outside the starting lineup. A bold, for some, unnecessary decision made by Xabi, Alonso in his Champions League debut as Real Madrid coach. But behind this gesture lies much more than just a tactical choice, and that's what we'll unravel today. The new Real Madrid manager didn't want to be cautious. He arrived, put his foot down, and already showed he'll relentlessly change his star players. Against Olympique de Marseille, they won 2-1 with 2 penalty goals from Kylian Mbappé. But the main issue wasn't the goal, but rather Vinicius Jr.'s luxurious benching. We're talking about a player who has already decided finals, who has broken the game, and who has earned the respect of the fans and the locker room. Yet, he was left out of the starting lineup. The question that echoed around the Bernabeu and the Spanish press was immediate. What is going through Xabi Alonso's head? Before diving into the analysis, I'll leave you with a message. Comment below if you'd dare to block Vini Jr. from the Champions League. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because here...
Did you like this analysis, Madrid fan? Then leave a like, subscribe to the channel and comment. Who deserves to be a starter in Xabi Alonso's new Real? Let's exchange ideas. This is Madrid until the last second.
We'll be following every detail of this electrifying season. Returning to the debut, the scenario was clear. Real Madrid playing at home, total pressure on their French rivals, and a decisive atmosphere. Rodrigo, who had been a supporting player in recent games, started on the left. Vini, accustomed to being a protagonist, had to wait on the bench. This contrast was immediate. One player begging for space got his chance, while another, a recent symbol of magical Champions League nights, relegated to the bench. Naturally, this already created discomfort in the atmosphere. Real Madrid statistically dominated the match. They created chances, shot chances, and conceded at times, but secured the victory with 2 penalties converted by Mbappé. Rodrigo shone in the first half, linking up with the Frenchman and winning the first penalty. Vinicius, when he came on in the second half, was also decisive. He won the second penalty that sealed the victory for Real Madrid. The numbers, however, reveal the controversy. Since the Club World Cup, Rodrigo had started only 2 matches. Vinicius, on the other hand, had started 9 games, until he was left out in precisely the most important game of the season so far. And the scene was cinematic. The Bernabeu's big screen announced the lineup. The fans were in anticipation, and Vinicius Jr.'s name wasn't among the starters. Surprised looks, murmurs in the stands, a few timid applause, and a sense of awe in the air. Rodrigo took...
Did you like this analysis, Madrid fan? Then leave a like, subscribe to the channel and comment. Who deserves to be a starter in Xabi Alonso's new Real? Let's exchange ideas. This is Madrid until the last second.
The field with fire in his eyes, knowing this was the opportunity he'd been waiting for. Minute by minute, he sought to prove he deserved to be there. Meanwhile, on the bench, the cameras captured Vini. Serious, focused, but visibly uncomfortable. And when he finally stepped onto the field in the second half, everything changed. An explosion on the field, a dribble, acceleration, a penalty kick. It was an immediate impact, almost like a silent message. I'm still indispensable. The post-match scene was even more explosive. At the press conference, Alonso was asked about the selection and whether he had spoken to Vinicius to explain the decision. His response was curt. Private conversations remain private. No one should feel offended if they don't start. Vinny was great when he came on. A statement that sounded like a warning to the squad. He's the boss. But does this hardline approach work at Real Madrid, a club of stars and big egos? Recent history shows that coaches who fail to win over the locker room are quickly fired. The Spanish newspaper AS was unforgiving, reporting that Vinny's magic has abandoned him, and that he is no longer untouchable. This detail has broader implications. If Xabi Alonso truly understands that Vinicius and Rodrigo are competing for the same position, we naturally won't see both of them starting at the same time. And this dynamic could even impact the Brazilian national team. After all, if one of them loses playing time, spends more time on the bench, loses consistency and confidence, they could also end up losing minutes under Ancelotti's watch. In Rodrigo's case, starting in the Champions League opener was a relief. For Vinicius, it was an unexpected shock. And here comes the crux. Xabi Alonso may be digging his own trap. It's true, Vinicius's form declined in the final stretch of last season. But discarding a player who has decided semi-finals, scored goals in finals, and already scored against giants is a huge risk. Even more so when promoting youngsters like Franco Mastantuono, an 18-year-old Argentine, recently arrived from River Plate. The youngster has been starting consistently, despite inconsistent performances, and seems to have already surpassed names like Brahim Diaz, who has long shown solidity when he comes on. Just yesterday, Mastantuono was named in the starting lineup, while Vinny waited on the bench. The message is clear. Alonso wants to show that hierarchy doesn't matter. But Real Madrid isn't a laboratory for experiments. It's the most successful club in the Champions League. The risk is simple. The more Alonso insists on barring prestigious figures like Vinicius, the greater the pressure from the fans, the press, and the squad itself. We're talking about a player who shone against Manchester City, scored against Bayern Munich, and decided a final against Borussia Dortmund. It's impossible to ignore this history. Alonso, of course, was a great player, a winner on the field, and as he's promising. But he still lacks the stature of an Ancelotti, a Zidane, or a Guardiola to bench whoever he wants without causing consequences. At Real Madrid, those who can't win the group stage won't last. History itself proves this. Zidane and Ancelotti, the last two to win back-to-back titles, had similar profiles. Managers of stars, more paternal than tyrant. With this style, Zidane led Real Madrid to 3 consecutive Champions Leagues. Other coaches, even with a proven track record, quickly fell when they tried to impose authority over their stars. Alonso may be repeating this mistake. And so I say, the season has barely begun, but there's already internal tension at the Bernabeu. Vinicius Jr., a recent Champions League hero, is now in a silent duel with his own coach. Xabi Alonso wants to show his power, but he could end up isolated. Is this rotation smart or just stubbornness? Will he stick to this decision in the upcoming crucial games? Now I want to hear from you. What do you think of Xabi Alonso's selection? Was he right to drop Vinicius Jr. in the Champions League opener? Or is he playing with fire? Leave your opinion in the comments, because this debate will continue. And if you believe Real Madrid still has what it takes to shine in this Champions League, like and subscribe, because here, game by game, we'll experience every chapter of this Madrid saga.